All right, how's everybody doing this morning? Good morning, good morning. Find a seat if you would. We're going to go ahead and get started.
1,002.
All right, we'll call that 2 seconds. So, welcome. You're at 1 million cups. Who first-timers out there? Show of hands. Show of hands. I can't see any of you. Nice. All right. There's a little conspicuous group of students here maybe that sticks out. So, welcome Baser Linwood, welcome Warrensburg, and welcome to Wyandotte High School. Round of applause getting students in the room at 1 million cups. That's what we like to see. So definitely don't hesitate to raise your hand, ask a question when we get there. So what is this thing that you're at right now? 1 Million Cups is an entrepreneurial program, I suppose you could call it, started by the Kauffman Foundation. Basic idea being to bring 2 entrepreneurs up on stage, have them tell their stories, and then through our expert panel, go ahead, ask a couple questions, poke some holes, and then we open it up to the crowd. And that's the part where high school students and everybody, feel free, raise your hand, we're gonna come around to you, hand the mic to you. But to kick it off, we're gonna have these fine gentlemen introduce themselves, our expert panel. John's not paying attention, so we'll start with Dan.
I'll do it. I'm John Kors. I run a company called the X Foundry. We help make companies more valuable by helping them work with and like startups. Mostly we help build startup teams and we inject it into companies to help them actually co-create new ventures alongside.
I'm Dan Schmidt with the Emerging Business CFO. We help companies take products, turn them into actual businesses, and then help them scale up those businesses. So we provide, operations, finance, accounting services, really help them understand what it looks like to have a business, not just something they built.
Round of applause for these guys for being here. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, and one housekeeping matter before we bring up Ed Coda. If you don't already have the 1 Million Cups app downloaded, please go to the App Store, do so, and then check in if you do already have the app downloaded, and then once you have it downloaded, check in. The goal being check in. I said it 3 times, now you know to check in. All right, and with that, I need to say it a 4th time, Anna needs me to say it a 4th time. What? Okay, that's 5. See? Kyle's got the app. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and bring up Clarence from Ed Coda. Yeah.
Good morning.
Thank you. Hello? Yes, it's working. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Clarence, and I'm the CEO of Ed Coda. So quick show of hands, how many of you guys growing up in school liked doing homework, listening to lectures, and taking tests? All right, so we've got a weird person in the back, but I'm not going to acknowledge him. But you all know what I'm trying to explain right here. Student engagement in schools is really low. You all know the experience. I don't have to bring a picture of, look at the classroom from 100 years ago, look at the classroom now, exactly the same. So let's take a look at how bad it actually is in schools today in the US. So the first thing you want to see is the line is red. When it's red, it pretty much means it's bad. And you can see that by high school, about 2 out of every 3 students are disengaged. And how does that affect our economy? How does that affect the whole learning experience? So it lowers motivation, it lowers knowledge retention, and in all, it lowers the, what their test scores and academic performance is. And it also lowers their graduation rates, which is an issue in our schools today. So what people have traditionally done in the market, and what my experience is, we built educational games. And if you're a teacher or if you're a student, you would know that educational games do not work. The way to do it is, here's a topic like fractions, and let's build a game out of it. And when students play it, they instantly sniff out the fractions and they say, you know what, you got found, I'm not playing this game, it's not engaging. So what we've done is we've flipped the script around. We did not care about the educational aspects of it first, and we built a game to be just fun. And then once it's fun enough, we say, let's sneak in some educational material in, and then we link that to a learning management system similar to Blackboard to let teachers customize the classroom. If they want to put their own lessons in, they can do that, and to give teachers the data. So the big picture is we're kind of like World of Warcraft and Blackboard. They fell in love, and they had a baby, and that is Ed Coda. So instead of telling you more about this technology romance, I'm just going to show you a quick 30-minute clip, 30-second clip, sorry. I'm not going to keep you here all day, but to show you what the game looks like and what the technology looks like. can see the game is built really like any other game out there that students are playing, not in the classroom. You can see aspects of Minecraft, Candy Crush, popular game mechanics that students like, and then we sneak in these educational content. And it is all connected to a learning management system that you see right here, where teachers can get results. They can manage their classroom. They can change it to really fit what they're teaching on a day-to-day basis. My name's in red. I'm actually not that dumb. It was just for example. Just want to clarify that. So what is used in the market today? Other companies usually tend to focus on one or the other, either the entertainment or the management, data analytics, and the whole adaptive learning aspect. So we went with a more holistic approach. So we have the game, it's connected to a management system. It goes to a smart learning system where it can adapt the difficulty of questions to the students and also send notifications to the teacher. So in all, it's helping students have fun and also helping teachers reduce their workload. They don't have to grade. They don't really have to, they get instant data on the intervention that they need. So this is my team right here. If you look left or look to your right, you can see that some of my team members are here with me today. We have a lot of game design experience, software architecture experience. Mark Ellen on the side, he actually has no experience. He's just there for adult supervision. And then we have a lot of financial experience, and we have experience with testing apps, all the educational side as well. So we have a very solid team, and we have good team chemistry. So we've launched a month ago, and we started our first launch with a school here in Kansas City called Dreams KC. They're part of the 4.0 schools cohort. And what we did was they had 15 minutes of teaching, and then we just let the kids go at it for an hour. And the results were really good. If you look at the pictures, you can see the teachers were just sitting there after lessons, just looking at the real-time data pull in, and they can help students who are struggling automatically without having to assign homework, do a pre or post test. We have about 100 classrooms signed up right now, and right now we are also opening up, partnering with school districts to get it into the schools. So what we need is, our game is an install. It is a real game, if you will, and we can't just get into schools that easily. So right now we need to partner with schools and districts. Just let us in, whitelist our software, and we'll just work out a deal. Give it to you for free. We just need users right now to really prove our product on a much larger scale. So if you know any principals, IT directors, curriculum directors that want to just jump on it, I'll give you my card, we'll exchange numbers, and then we'll just get going from there. Thank you.
We'll open up the Q&A with our expert panel first in the front.
No, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, so just a few questions. I make an assumption your buying customer is like a technology department in a school district, or maybe a superintendent or principal. I'm just curious on your response, if that's true, your response from those customers as you've gone and talked to them about this system and some of their pains around managing learning and trying to help increase engagement.
I'm trying to rewrap that question, but yes, our customers are the superintendents, mainly the curriculum directors and the IT department. But we also try to sell to teachers. Right now, we're launching our 90-day free trials, and that is where our 100 classrooms are coming from. What was the other portion of the question?
Yeah, so if we tier those two, so two buying customers, teachers themselves or superintendents, technology groups.
Yep.
What have their pains been as you've talked to them about student engagement and their own learning management systems they have installed today?
Well, for learning management systems, it is they already have a structure set up, but the issue is they're not able to engage the students. They aren't able to. They have to assign a homework. They have to grade the homework after. So by the time they find out who's struggling, it's about 2 weeks or a month delayed. And as a student, that whole experience of, I'm left behind, I don't want to raise up my hand because I'm going to look stupid. I'm just going to keep falling further and further behind, and the test scores show that. So the school districts, they have an incentive to buy it because it would actually help increase, supposedly, their test scores, increase the student performance in the district.
Okay, so it's a 90-day free trial. How are you pricing for the superintendent school district at large versus teachers after that trial period? I'm curious on your price points and sales strategy.
Our main goal right now is just to get traction, to get users to prove the product. So for after the 90-day free trial, any teacher, we just want to make sure that they are able to afford it. So we're doing $5 per year till the end of the semester.
How did you make that decision of $5 per year towards the end of the semester? How did you make that decision?
We went to a lot of trade shows and we talked to a lot of teachers. We have these like breakout sessions, and instead of doing a presentation, we turn it into a sort of like a discussion to say, hey, is this affordable for you? Does this work for you? And I said, yes, I would buy it at a $5 price point. Obviously, we would charge more when we actually launch and we prove the product. But for now, we just want to make sure that they are able to afford it, they're able to use it, and then we are able to get some traction and some early revenue.
Okay, last question. Have you talked to other channel partners about how valuable is the content, the gaming side? Have you had interest in other systems like Blackboard to consume that content for some service price?
We have talked to them so far. I think the ones that are most interested are like the content providers. So right now we're talking to, I think, 3 content providers. One of them is an online school. They are interested in putting their content in there because we build a little bit of content, but we're not content experts. We're not educational experts. We just built the technology for teachers to go in, put in their own stuff, or for potentially a McGraw-Hill or Pearson, and say, here, I'm going to put my content here. I can deliver it in a more fun way. For the Blackboards, we have talked about, they wanted to integrate an API so that they can pull our data into their learning management system. So it's all wrapped in one central location.
So follow up on what you just said there. Are you really targeting the schools or are you targeting the curriculum companies? Because I was going to ask how you tie in to the existing frameworks that are out there for curriculum. There's a lot of different ones out there. So are you you're creating the platform and then other people have to actually populate it, or you're having engagements where you will come in and populate the content in addition to giving them access to the platform?
Yes, so right now we're targeting schools because we need to, it's hard to sell something to a content provider if you don't have the proof that it really works. You don't have the millions of questions answered, you don't have the data. So that is why we're targeting schools right now, because we want them to start using it. We want to see how it works with students on a very a study-based approach. So until then, we would not approach, we would approach, but they're probably just going to say, no, not yet.
So currently you're just trying to replace individual lessons rather than a comprehensive end-to-end.
Yes, so right now we have 4th to 8th grade math. But let's say if I'm a science teacher, you can just load in your own questions. We just don't have it yet. We have our own curriculum team that we're building a plug and play for teachers to start with. But we don't have the full suite of all 4 subjects, every single grade yet.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open it up to the crowd at this point. You just want to toss your hands in the air for any questions. Coming to Joe first.
Hey, great idea. Lots of questions, but I have to only focus on one, I guess. So you started by talking about engagement or lack of engagement. So I'm assuming that's your pitch to get students more engaged. Have you also looked at how this affects the workforce associated in the teaching function? Is there an opportunity to tweak or improve the way a school district manages its teachers?
Yes, that is actually a really good question. We boiled down to student engagement because that is what you call the root of all problems. If students aren't performing, that is an issue for the future workforce. We have that whole learning management system that is designed to help teachers spend less time grading homework. Potentially, they would not have to administer tests anymore if it's being used that much. We're looking into building, like we have a teacher's platform where looking to build the higher level, the administrators platform, so that they can see how their students are doing on a much higher level, how their district is doing. And we find that the game-based learning approach would be best, because if I was using just a learning management system, I can only get 20 questions from the students, because here's an assignment. They're not going to do 21 questions. They're doing 20 questions. They might do 19 or 18, but they won't do more. But if it's in a game environment, they're just answering questions nonstop because it's fun, and they're providing a lot more data to the teacher and to the district so that they can make a lot better high-level decisions on how they're operating the school.
Another question over here, to your left.
Hi, so my question is, are you only doing the game for younger ages or like high school ages too?
Ours is a K through 12. Our users right now is from 3rd grade all the way to 9th grade. The way we're doing it is, if this concept works, we can link this management system to a new game that is designed for a higher age group. We were just focusing on this current age group, which is late elementary to early high school, because that is where the engagement starts really dropping drastically.
Okay, and one more thing, are teachers allowed to like customize the questions that are asked on the game, or is the curriculum already like added into the game?
That's a good question. So we have pre-built templates. So if you're a, let's say, 5th grade teacher in Kansas, you can just click on that. We have everything built out for you to where a teacher does not have to add or change anything. But the way it works in education is a 4th grade teacher in one class is different from the other. So we let them customize and change the order with drag and drop functionality similar to Trello boards. And if they want to spend that effort, they can go in and add their own questions. They can go in and tweak. If they, I don't know if you saw in the video, there was a YouTube video. If they want to switch out the lessons and say, you know what, at Coda, we think your lessons suck. Let me add something that I have from my library from years of research and teaching. They can just throw that into the game as well.
Question in the back to the right here. Hands in there.
Yeah, watching your game, it seems like the educational content is basically like hurdles or obstacles that you get kind of power up. So it's almost like an economy model. It doesn't seem embedded into the game. So you just kind of layer educational content unless I'm missing something.
That is a good observation. We kind of tied it in with the storyline. The way we have done it is you have a magical stone, you need knowledge to power it up. So when you're making a match, instead of just saying, stop, here's a question, it's you actually use game mechanics to activate a question. And then when a question pops up, it ties into the whole idea of you need to power up your stone before you can cast a spell. That's how it's tied in. It is not as intrusive, and we find that students actually, they don't mind answering questions that way.
Go to the back over here.
Hi, I have 2 questions.
Yep, sure thing.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
As a teacher, how long would it take me to put my curriculum into the app? How long would I spend bringing it up to my students before they could play it?
If you just want to plug and play, you can go in as soon as 2 minutes. But if you want to upload, like your whole school year's curriculum, we have every single standard laid out. So if you know what you want to put in, it would take about 30 seconds for each standard. So if there's like 40 standards in 4th grade math, that would be about 20 minutes.
Okay, perfect. And out of curiosity, you've mentioned that you're ready to go for 3rd to 8th grade. Are you running a Facebook advertising campaign specifically asking those teachers to interact with your app?
We are not currently running campaigns yet. Yes, we are. Oh, okay, we are. Yes, we're running campaigns. But we're working with a lot of teachers from trade shows because they are the ones that know it's a need. They're there to shop for a solution, and that is where we usually source our customers from.
Another question in the same general vicinity.
Hi, Clarence. I'm familiar with what EdCata is doing, and I think you've got a pretty quality MVP, and you're out there trying to get it in the marketplace. You've got a long sales cycle generally with the customer you're pursuing, and I'm curious from an entrepreneur's perspective, how do you kind of make decisions on when to stay in the sales process and continue to get those early adopters in versus getting into kind of tinkering mode with your MVP, and you get some feedback from the first district you talk to and you say, oh, we need to change the MVP this way. How do you kind of balance figuring out when to tinker with the MVP versus really staying into the sales mode?
Yeah. For that, our process is usually a 50-50. 50% of all our efforts are trying to build traction in sales. The other 50 is trying to continuously improve the product. So in terms of how we do it is we always try to analyze and see what's working and what's not. So we just did a sign up and we saw that we have a lot of signups, but some of them are having issues with low onboarding. So we tweaked the software to make the onboarding experience a little easier and more efficient for the teacher. So it's always it's kind of like doing an experiment at the same all the time.
Right here. So I actually have two questions. First off, how are you tracking like the assessment of how well the kids are actually absorbing the information that they are engaging with in the content, or like what's the plan, I guess, right? Because so if I'm going along and I'm playing the game and I'm like, yeah, I'm really answering these questions and I'm so focused on the gameplay element, then how do you know I've actually really absorbed my math homework, basically? And then also, like what happens in the event that a kid is stuck, right? So they come to a word problem in math and they're like, man, I can't get past this. Are there or is there a plan for like a pop-up tip, or is there a way for them to engage with like the pieces of that question then so that they maybe learn and can get past that obstacle and move on? Or is it just like, oh, I'm stuck and this is stupid and I'm leaving?
Yeah. Well, the way we've done that is, if you saw in the PowerPoint, there was a smart learning system. It's a series of adaptive algorithms. So when the curriculum is there, all the content is not unlocked. They start with whatever is first, and as they progress, if they're doing well, the next one unlocks really quick. So if I'm a quick learner, I can get by all the curriculum really fast. But if I'm struggling, and that's where the videos pop out, it's gonna first make the questions easier for the student. And if they find that the student is still struggling for that standard, it's gonna pop up with like a pop-up that says, hey, watch this video, which is whatever the teacher wants to put in there. We already have built-in lessons for it. And if they watch that, they actually get a reward, like an in-game reward. So they don't feel like they're wasting their time watching the video. They actually want to learn how to learn from the video so that they get their points. And when that pop-up appears in-game, teachers also get a notification. So that way, our solution is not to replace the teacher. There's no way you can do that. So we just provide tools to give teachers more instantaneous feedback.
Question in the middle here.
Good morning. I'm curious to know that when you were in the design phase and the development process, and as this product continues to evolve, have you included like students and teachers and curriculum directors as a part of your advisory team? Do you have consultants of that nature?
Yes, we do. We have we work with a school in Florida called Plato Academy. We work with their students very intensively. We actually have a internship program with them where they are always coming up with ideas and helping us tweak the software. And we also have an advisory board and like the associate superintendent of Shawnee Mission. We have 5 people. We have like superintendents and curriculum directors from different schools that we're always interacting with to improve.
Right here in the front.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. So the first one is, what platforms are you going to be building these games on for? So like, are you trying to do like iPad games or just like go to a website, or are you like going to get into the virtual reality with the Vive or the Oculus, any of those types of things?
Yeah, well, we built our game on Unity, and we chose that because it's the easiest platform to switch from platform to platform. Currently it's PC and Mac, and we're working on mobile, so iPads, Chromebooks, and we're gonna be exploring the browser, the whole browser deal, but that one is a little tricky because browsers don't really provide enough memory to support a strong game.
Okay, and one more question. What do you see as the future for your company? It's like, where do you see you guys going with this?
It might be a long one. So the future is, we want to open it up to be used by as many people and many types of people. So similar to what the judges were saying, Blackboard or content provider coming in to put their lessons there, teachers to be able to upload and share their lessons, students to be able to select from a variety of different games. So we're building an ecosystem, not necessarily just one game and a learning management system, but all that has to span from proving the product and the concept before we can start expanding. And the root or the underlying function that's going to help us do that is the data that the students are providing. Because if they can keep answering questions, we get a lot of feedback on whether or not content from a content provider is working or whether content from a teacher is working. We can get a lot of valuable information for us to grow the other aspects of the business.
Question up front to your right here.
Yeah, I may have missed the answer to this question. So your business, your revenue model or your sales tactic is to sell to principals, IT directors, and whatnot. So do you guys have a plan intact because I guess your team was what, 5, 6 people as of now? Do you guys have a...
Yeah, that was our management team. We have 7 people in our team.
7, okay. So how do you guys plan to scale? Like, I'm guessing you guys are trying to go nationwide, right? So like, do you guys have a plan, and it may be a little early for this, but do you guys have a plan to, scale basically?
Yeah, we do have a plan to scale. The way we've built our business is it's an open platform. What do you mean by you scale in terms of users or our team or? Yeah, so right now we're charging per student, and then we'll expand into the home market. And it's software. It's software. It's easily scalable.
So our final question for you today is, what can we as a community do to help you?
Okay, so again, we need users to test our product to prove our concept that we're coming in with. So if you know any superintendents, any schools any key decision makers that can say, I want this in my school, we're gonna work out a deal so that you guys won't be charged, but we wanna make sure that we have a framework there to really test our software and to prove its efficacy. And get our software whitelisted since it's an install.
Well, thank you so much for your presentation today. Hey, Luke. Luke, do you want to help get set up? Thanks. So our favorite time, announcements. We do have one live announcement if Kyle wants to come up today, but I will give a shout out to our panelist, Dan Schmidt. He is going to be at the ECJC tomorrow from 10:30 to 12 p.m. talking about your financial performance, right? Anything else you want to say? No? Okay, so if you have any questions about financials, go see Dan. And now I'll give it to Kyle.
All right, everyone can listen, but specifically I would like to talk to Kansas City business owners who have been in business for at least 2 years, have revenues over $150,000, and have a market that can generate up to $1 million in sales. If you want to join a community of like-minded business owners who want to network and grow and learn right here in Kansas City, then you should apply to Scale Up KC. So you'll see some of these sitting around on chairs. Please grab one. You can come grab me if you have questions. Also, head to their website, scaleupkc.com. Applications are due by Friday. There's also great testimonials up there. So please check this program out and apply, apply, apply. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Also, give a shout out to the Sprint Accelerator. They host co-working Wednesdays every Wednesday, so if you want to go check it out and have a free space to work today, please go see them. And I think I need to stall. Are we good?
Now we're good. Yeah.
Can I what? Oh, India. Okay. Hold on just a second. One more live announcement.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is India Wells Carter. I'm the Career Development Coordinator with Kauffman Scholars, a college access and completion scholarship program through the Kauffman Foundation. On your chairs, you'll see information about our JIVE Fair. That's Jobs, Internships, Volunteer, and Educational Fair. We're looking to connect more than 600 of our college students and recent graduates to the entrepreneurship community and startup community. So if you're looking to grow your business with diverse, talented, hardworking group of students, we encourage you to apply online for free. The deadline on the note card does say December 1st, but we are willing to give an extension to December 15th. If you have any questions, I'll be here afterwards. Also, you can check out kaufmanscholars.org and follow us on Twitter, Kauffman KSI. Thank you.
So next up, Meshuggah Bagels. Let's welcome Pete and Gina Lind.
Good morning. Can we hear okay? All right, we'd just like to start out with a little company overview and kind of take you through the last 9 months of our life and then open it up to questions. We started the company in August of 2015 with the intention to be a wholesale bagel bakery, sell the product to local grocery stores and retailers, level schedule, good baking hours, things to keep life as normal as possible while we grew the business. Jana and I are the co-owners. We currently have a 3,000 square foot commercial bakery in Pleasant Valley with 3 full-time and 2 part-time bakers. And this facility supplies both our retail location and our wholesale customers. In addition, we have an 800 square foot retail space on 39th Street at Roanoke in the heart of Westport. And that location supports 6 employees plus the 2 of us. And we sell bagels, specialty cream cheeses, and smoked fish. What motivates a produce executive and an automotive engineer to drop it all and sell bagels for a living? Seems a little backwards, but we recognized for quite a while that Kansas City was a foodie town and it didn't have a real New York bagel, so we had an inkling there was a market, we just kind of didn't know how much. We also wanted to stop splitting off and going to different locations every day and do something together. So that was a big part of it. Going into it, we had this assumption that a nice, steady wholesale baking operation would grow while we could still sort of maintain our other lives, and then someday we would branch out into retail. The original business model was to finance the bakery with a home equity line of credit with an amount of $150,000 and structure the business to have a low break-even, low overhead, so that we could sustain the business even if the market proved to be smaller than we originally anticipated. We thought we would establish wholesale accounts using Jana's contacts from the produce industry and the local food retailers, establish a baseline cash flow, and then expand into retail once we knew we had our basic overhead covered. What really happened was we did in fact satisfy the first tick point. We financed the bakery with $150,000 of home equity line of credit, and that's about all of the plan that really came together the way we originally envisioned it.
Yeah.
By the time we got the bakery completed, it was late November. As you might imagine, without any other commercial bagel operations in the Kansas City area, there wasn't a whole lot of resource to find equipment or trades that even knew how to do this. So Jana spent her full-time job finding out how to buy a bagel kettle or a bagel oven or a bagel sink, and that was a really painstaking process. Being completed in late November is not an ideal time to pitch to a hen house or a Hy-Vee for the winter season. They've locked in for all of their holiday supplies, so we found ourselves with a reluctant market. It looked like we weren't going to be able to really find any wholesale business until the spring. So what do? You look for ways to create your market and at least establish some level of cash flow, keep the lights on. So we thought, well, we'll sell at events, we'll get a stall at City Market, and just kind of get the product out there, get some feedback, and donate to some causes, and try to at least learn what we have and get paid to practice. As fate would have it, there was an article in the pitch that talked about a Jewish Federation party called the Bagel Bash that happens every Christmas Eve. We saw this, and Jana contacted the coordinator of the event, and before we knew it, we were not only a bagel bakery, but a kosher bagel bakery, and donating 350 bagels to the Bagel Bash on Christmas Eve. What we found from this is that there was immediate recognition that a real New York bagel was a hit in Kansas City and was something that people wanted. And shortly after that, our social media started to blow up with people asking, where can they get these? At that point, Jana looked at me and said, it's time to do retail, and we need to do it right now. 3.5 months later, 39th Street was open. The maze of regulatory and licensing was just unbelievable, and it was really a superhuman effort on her part to actually accomplish it. Once we were open for business, the learning curve hit us square in the face. Kansas City really wanted a New York bagel. Our assumptions were absolutely blown up. We were selling at 300% what our capacity was. We were drastically understaffed, both at the bakery and at the store. Friends, neighbors, cousins, family members, all hands on deck just to meet demand and try to survive. At that point, we saw that the initial operating model for the store really wasn't feasible. We had planned to pre-bake the product and then final bake it at the store. Our initial experience was the product was terrible. So we had to change gear and bake and transport to the store. And along the way, also realized that the way we had set up the store was in no way large enough to meet demand. So there was more investment required to double the sandwich capacity at the store and to try to get some throughput. The lines out the door were a good thing, but at some point you need to move your customers through your location. Another thing that we found very quickly was good help is really hard to find, especially in food service. We had some stability at the bakery, but to get staff at the store, especially when the business was new and unknown, was really difficult. A few things that we did learn that we would like to share with everybody. Low overhead and sufficient cash at the start were absolutely key to our survival despite our many mistakes and poor assumptions. We went in with enough cash to build the bakery and protect for 6 months of expenses with zero revenue. We didn't want to be one of those businesses that had a great concept and then failed because we ran out of cash before we could really launch. As fate would have it, our mixer, $8,000 worth of mixer, failed the third day the store was open. And we had to buy one on the fly and have it installed literally the morning of a bake. So we learned how to move quick and make fast decisions. Also, our oven failed 3 times within the first month. So lots of surprises, things you don't count on that really get in your way. Flexibility is the key to our success. We entered wholesale. The market wasn't there. Saw that the market was available for retail, switched gears, and went where the customers told us. And that goes to show you should listen to your market and your spouse. Sleep is only optional for about 2 months before you really need to start having some people help you find staff and really recognize what your needs are to operate at a sane level. Our next 6 months.
Excuse me, sorry. We're going to have to open it up to the expert panel at this time.
Okay.
So if you guys are ready, Dan?
So you, like most startups, misjudged your market. You just did it the opposite way for most companies.
Right.
Looking back, can you talk about what you might have changed when you were doing your market assessments and your assumptions, putting your initial model together that might have allowed you to more accurately predict that 300% overage that you found?
It's difficult to say because there was no surrogate. We got our pricing model and a certain amount of our product model from the corporate side, the Einsteins and the Paneras, but we assume that there would be market acceptance for kind of an artisan bagel product, but without a surrogate to model after. It was tough. We probably could have gone to research somebody like Farm to Market bread company and see what their growth curve was to understand, what the true size of the market was. But we were really shocked and couldn't believe just how many people wanted one of these things.
Just a few questions. As you're looking at this business, are you approaching this as, well, how do I scale this as broad as possible and exit this business? Or are you looking at this to be kind of an ongoing revenue stream for you and your family as you approach this and staying more local?
A little of both. There's two phases. One is we found something and were a little bit overwhelmed by just how much demand there was, and it didn't escape our thought process that somebody else was probably watching as well. So part of the aggressive expansion is playing defense. If you don't fill the market in a place like Overland Park, somebody else is going to do it for you. So we recognized that we had to be as aggressive as we could to get our foot in that market to prevent someone else from doing it for us, and also to serve a real core market for this product. Secondary to that, it's never something that you ignore completely when you think about expansion. Is what do you do in the grand scale? Do you do 3, 4, or 5 and then have a franchising model that allows you to grow at a more aggressive rate, or do you just try to get the business to run itself and enjoy the residual income?
Perfect. Okay, so a quick question. We might bounce back and forth. So as you look at scaling this kind of artisan bagel product, what is the next best market that you're looking to get into that has the next headache that this product solves that problem? And how are you starting to test in that market to figure out what your next step in your expansion is?
I missed the concept of the headache, I guess.
Sorry, I'm just looking at, as you're thinking about scaling, you're seeing a broader market demand outside of Kansas City. So
sure.
There's a lot of steps to start to build that distribution. What is the next regional city X market beyond Kansas City that you think your product really fits in?
Well, as you can see on our slide, we already have a space in Overland Park. We're at 105th and Metcalf, right next to the Bronx, and we are working on that right now. Our projected opening date is February-ish, and the challenge there is we're going to actually be baking on site. So we're not only setting up the counter and the bagels and so on, we're going to actually have a bakery on site with the oven, the kettle, everything. People can come in, we'll have hot, fresh bagels all day long, which right now we don't have that at the store on 39th. We actually have to transport back and forth from our Pleasant Valley bakery. Our third location, we've also signed a lease for, which will be June. It's going to be in the Liberty Commons, which is a brand new shopping center being built right now off of 35 and 152. And that is right in our back door. The bakery is 5 minutes. Our home is 5 minutes, so we love that. There's nothing in that area. So, Pete and I both have come from a background of, a lot of study and researches and things. This just completely kicked us in the butt. I mean, in the best way. And honestly, I mean, we can do, gap demand reports and scan data and till the end of the day. And there was no way to gauge this. It was just, we found a niche and the timing was right. And it's been very advantageous for us. And we're thrilled, so.
Now, to talk about outside the Kansas
Oh,
City.
I'm sorry, I was going to get that
no,
you
no.
This is why he did the talking on it, because I never, it takes a while, I get back to it. Okay, yeah, go ahead, sorry. Sorry.
We'll now effectively have a store that is what in the industry they'd call a drop shop. 39th Street's a drop shop. We bake in a central location, drop to a tiny retail that can almost be a pop-up, and then we'll have an on-site bake, which is a more standalone, self-sufficient model. And in our case, Overland Park was a little far to drive from Pleasant Valley to supply product. Liberty was not, so we can utilize the bakery to its fullest extent and then bake on site in Overland Park. To branch into a market like Des Moines or Oklahoma City or St. Louis, the first location by definition is going to have to be a bake on site. I mean, you just have to have a footprint, or satellite bakeries, satellite retails around a central large capacity bake site. Until we run Overland Park with a bake on site, we're not really going to know which way is the most favorable. What we do know is that we need to methodize the retail side of it so that there's a playbook when you open number 3 and number 4 and number 5. Right. That's in process now. So the retail model is starting to coalesce with a really scalable, process-oriented approach. Whether central bakery with satellite locations or bake on site is the best model to take to the next city, that's something we're going to learn in the next year.
So clearly you've been in survival mode for the last year or so. And so when you can kick back, I guess when you started and then also now as you think about it, what's your ultimate end game? Did you go into it thinking you had an exit strategy at some point to a national brand or a Roma bakery, or did you plan on having this be a generational business that you grow and keep in the family? And what did you start with, and is that still the plan, or have you changed that?
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't think any of our children are necessarily living their lives thinking about being bagel bakers. So
pretty certain they're not, actually.
the generational question is probably a no, right. But the expand and hire good people to manage on our behalf on an ongoing basis is our initial thought for the 5 to 10 year plan. If along the way somebody with big pockets were to come along and propose a broader expansion, that's great, as long as Meshuggah Bagels always means a real New York bagel that's done the right way with the right ingredients. You don't skip the boil, you don't use a steam oven, you don't go corporate process and turn it into Sara Lee. If the soul stays, all proposals are worth hearing. But everything we would do to make it scalable for ourselves also enables it to be a target for somebody to come in. If you're methodized and you've got a playbook where you can open up a new store in 2 months and have a trained workforce that delivers your product the way the one that you're already operating does, that's attractive to somebody that wants to do that on a larger scale.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open up to the audience. Throw up your hand if you have questions, please. We'll start with Steve. Less of a question, more of an observation. Growing up in the Northeast part of the United States with a father who was a bagel aficionado and knew every good bagel from Rhode Island to Washington, D.C., and was trotted around as a kid, he knew where they all were. And on a scale of 100, you guys have 105 as a product. I mean, I'm a frequent
We really
customer.
appreciate that. Thank
Okay?
you.
So that's key number one. That's point number one for any entrepreneur sitting in this room, that if you don't have a great product in this arena, you'll be out of business in 5 minutes. The other thing that is exciting about what you had to say is that you went in it with business acumen, that you're not so much startup for software or other things that are intellectual property. If you don't have capital in the retail business, I don't care how good your product is, you could be out of business before anybody figures out that you got a great product. Now, you've gotten some good PR, you haven't done that much advertising, you got a tiny little space here on 39th Street, which people are willing, because it's such a great product, to squeeze into and buy your product. Okay, and I'm glad to see you're going into the key retail locations in Kansas City, in Liberty on 152 Highway, which is the hot neighborhood. Whether they know what a bagel is up there, I kind of wonder, but that's all right. That's Kansas City will love your product up in North Kansas City and Liberty. And Overland Park, you control for the quality. But what has killed some entrepreneurs, even here in Kansas City, we had a startup here about 25 years ago called Bagel and Bagel that was in Brookside, that when they opened, they had not as good as your product, okay, but they had a good product. Within a couple of years, because they had great marketing and great store design, they ended up selling out to buy into another company called Einstein Brothers. Now, I think personally they made millions of dollars on that transaction, but within 18 months, it wasn't worth going into any of their stores. So less of a question and observation, that don't follow that model. Follow the model that you have with a premier product. And you got to control for that with people that you add that are producing the product, both in the store and the retail environment, and also in the baking of the product. So that's all I have to say.
I got a question for
Very
you
much.
way in the back.
Peter, are you excited about this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I
because
mean-
I can't tell.
Okay.
You sound tired, buddy.
He is tired, but honestly, he has this, as you can hear, this broadcasting voice. So I'm the one that always talks like blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, you're gonna do this because I will never stay on topic, and I'll be telling stories about the kids and
Love it.
last year. Oh, see, look at this. I can't even do this. I'm breaking things. But no, he's the heart of this business. He
That's
really
awesome.
is. He is. I mean, it's our souls, but this has been his dream since I've met him. I mean, I've gained 40 pounds. I don't want to talk about it. But no, it's that good. It's just, you can't. But no, he's excited. He's actually more excited than I am. He's just trying to keep control of his booming voice. So.
Well, I love it. I am very excited for you all. Have been
Thank
following your story from the very beginning, watching as you recognize the foodie world is taking a big target on your back because you have proven your concept is fantastic and you do have a great product. Is it your recipe? How did you, I mean, that's my question. How
This
what's
is Pete's
up
recipe.
with that?
He started out and we Googled, the typical things you see, online, and we tried a couple things. Nothing was worth it. So he basically started concocting and he wrote down everything he did. 73 recipes later, at like 9:45 at night in our kitchen, he walked in and he goes, okay, try this. I was always the first bite. He got it after I did. And usually it was like, oh, that's pretty good. Or, oh, But this one, number 73, I'm like, oh my God, that's it. We were done. That was it. And so, no, his recipe, completely from scratch. 73 tries till we got it.
All right, we've got another question for you right in the front.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jennifer. Thank you for sharing your story with us in such detail. I think that that's really inspirational and helpful for all of us. You mentioned a point that I'd love to hear a little bit more about, the difficulty of finding really good people, especially when you're starting out. And you've obviously gotten through that, at least to this point. And I would love to know a little bit more about how did you get through that? Is there more of a story behind that? Or were there 73 iterations there?
You know what? I have control issues, and I'm really proud of what we have. So I own every bagel we pick out of the case. So they they try to keep me out of the store as much as possible. But anyway, no. My sister started out, I drug my kids into it just to we didn't expect this kind of a boom out of the gate. We thought it would be okay, but it'd be a nice steady flow, so on and so on. But as it turns out, we, did the typical things. We advertised online, we had, a sign in the store, and it's just hard to tell when you sit across the table and it's like a 10-minute interview. You think they're awesome and you get a good vibe or good feel, and they would come to work, and after a couple days, they were on the phone in the back room. They just, things like that. So we did struggle through quite a few, actually.
Oh yeah, the best one. We had someone we hired. She came in. We thought, all right, we finally have it. We finally have it. We've got someone that we know we're going to.
She lived 2 blocks from the store. It was great. Yeah.
And on the third day, we heard a peculiar noise from behind the curtain. I thought she pinched her hand between a couple of milk crates. I said, hey, are you okay? She said, yeah, but sometimes I make cat or dinosaur noises. We're not kidding.
No, we loved her. And when she got nervous or we got busy, she would start meowing even louder. So the customers were, and to the point one Saturday afternoon, the guy goes, "You guys have a cat in here?" I mean, and I was talking to Pete on the phone one day, and all of a sudden he heard, "Rawr," and he goes, "The dinosaur noise." I'm like, yeah, that's it. So we've had some colorful, and I was really fine with that as long as she could make a good bagel. I didn't care, but there were a lot of other issues attached to it too. But and anyway, it's just I'm a really highly emotionally connected, wired person. So people I want them to love being there. And if it's just a job, I get that, but at least follow procedure, follow practices. But we're a little store, and our heart and souls are in this. So it's an ongoing thing for us, but mainly because we want people to take our place, because we're trying to step back a little bit so we can start working on the other store and the other store. That's been the hard part. If we're there and we can supervise, it's not so bad. But when you're leaving someone with your child, with your baby, with your life, it's been pretty tough.
They're an extension of you, and
so we've learned now that they have a 2-week trial. We don't even do a tax thing. We don't do anything. We don't do all that. We just say, look, we're going to make sure it's a fit for us and a fit for you. We want you to be happy. We want you to love coming in here. And we're easy. We're fun. I mean, we really are. And so we have equally been fortunate that we do have some really great people that have come through the door. And we've had to pay them way more than what we can really afford to keep them too. I mean, that's what it boils down to. If you're gonna pay somebody $8 an hour, you're gonna get $8 an hour. If you pay them $14 an hour, you're gonna have a little bit better luck having somebody stick around and feel dedicated and wanna stay. So.
All right.
Secondary layer to that. When you're in that first 3 months and you're climbing over each other, and it's kind of the cruelest situation because you've got that new thing buzz, so you're, doing double what you probably will settle into once the buzz wears off. That's also when you're the least well-equipped to handle that level of business. So you're trying to develop a system while you're being absolutely overwhelmed. And potential employees see that and they stay away because they don't want to work in a forest fire. And they're not positive you're going to be there 3 months from now, so why quit the job that they know to come and work for you in the forest fire when they're not sure that you're going to really be there? Now that we're established, we're having people that come through the door that, let's just say, are higher caliber and are more committed to giving us a try, and that's making it easier as well.
So final question, keep it quick. What can we as a community do for you?
Buy bagels. Share them with your friends.
Come buy lots of bagels.
Share them with your coworkers.
Gift certificates for the holidays.
That's right.
Yeah.
Buy a bigger swimsuit. Forget about the carb limitation.
And I just 2 seconds. I have to say thank you to somebody who's here today, Vincent Rodriguez, Maps Coffee, Old Town Lenexa. If you have not tried Maps Coffee, holy man, that was one thing. All the bagel shops in New York may have great bagels, but they have awful coffee, horrible. So we would get bagels, at one place and go get our coffee somewhere else. That was the one thing when we did the store. I'm a coffee snob. I said, we have to have good stuff. And we talked to everybody that was around. Vincent had the best stuff. And the day before we were opening the store, we were a disaster. We didn't know what we were doing. He set up our Square register with my daughter. He came in and helped. He was like there every morning making the coffee because we didn't know what we were doing. So surround yourself with people like that. That's what you want. That's who you want in your room with you. Yep.
Yeah, let's hear it for Meshuggah Bagels, everybody. Thank you so much. All right,
Very much.
a little bit over time, but we're going to get out of here. Next week is Raft Up and Great American Kites. Don't forget, download the app, rate the presenters today, tell them how they did. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.